Come on, the pound. Come on. Come on. Yes! 5-0 in my dreams. Now, for those of you that live here in the Northern Hemisphere, you will be undoubtedly aware that there's quite a big sporting event going on at the moment, the Euros. For those of you around the world, doesn't matter where you are, these sporting events can have huge implications in the markets. We've got the World Cup, which is next year. You've got the Olympics, which is just around the corner. Most aren't aware of this, but these are, or can be, some money-making opportunities. So now let's head out into the sunshine and see what it's all about. Come on.
Yeah, he's picking up some good positions, going into a number 10 at times.
Okay, so here we are. Beautiful sunny day. Beer in hand, the footy's on the TV. What more could a man ask? Now, it doesn't really matter what trading entity you are trading, be it stocks, bonds, Forex, whatever it is. There are normally two ways that traders analyse the markets. They either use technical analysis, which, as we know, is the basic look back at charts, looking at candlesticks, looking at previous price action to see what prices may do in the future, give us clues on where the price may go. And then there's fundamental analysis. Now, this is the look at the macro view, the big picture, so to speak, the general health of a company or a country or what have you. In the case of stocks, usually be something like the balance sheet or the product line or the change in customers and so forth. And in the case of Forex, it's usually the health of the economy. So we might look at the GDP, for example, gross domestic product. As we know, central banks around the world, they're mandated to control inflation. And the way that they control inflation is often by changing interest rates and, of course, other means, QE and the like. I'm not going to go into that now. And as we know, as interest rates move, generally the currency should follow suit. So the fundamental trader will often try to predict what these economic news releases will be. Now, of course, the most important economic news release is unemployment, the employment numbers, because that gives us early clues on where the economy is going. But equally, we like to look at retail sales. It's one of the early signs of inflation. It's really important. A huge surge in retail sales can lead to a surge in inflation. And that basically means interest rates might have to rise and therefore the currency should possibly be getting stronger. So we're always looking at the retail sales numbers. And as you know, Europe is currently hosting the Euros, Euro 2021, delayed from last year. All the major European cities are being represented. Now it seems that even for the non-football enthusiast, everyone wants to get involved, getting out there to support their relevant team. All the school kids are talking about it. All the school mums are talking about it. The school dads, they're all on it. It seems to be dominating the lives of many. And it will do, in fact, for the entire month. And when your team wins, the whole country gets a feel-good boost. People feel good about life. And with that comes additional spending more often than not. And that's especially true if it's matched with this fantastic weather that we're having at the moment. All those house parties, the barbecues, people are spending money on food and drink. They're off down the pub to share that feel-good factor with their mates. And all this increase in spending boosts retail sales, putting pressure on prices, therefore putting pressure on interest rates and therefore putting pressure on the currency as well. I've just seen here Wales have just scored as well, which is good news. Now, analysts on a study that I read recently reckon that the last World Cup boosted the UK economy by £1.6 billion. And that's not just on beer and food. It filters down flat screen TVs, garden furniture, cleaning products. Everywhere you look, it filters down through. And the further your team progresses throughout the tournament, it's generally better for your economy. A leading report from one of the major UK newspapers reckoned that by England reaching the semi-finals of the last year's World Cup led to an additional 10 million pints of beer being bought. Just imagine if we'd have won. Geez, can you imagine the amount of sickies that people would have thrown following that? Some, I think, still would be celebrating today. Andy Haldane, remember him? Now, he's one of the UK's chief economists. And he argued at the time of the last World Cup that the feel-good factor that was surrounding the English team and the economy could certainly have put pressure on him to suggest raising interest rates. And look at this now. We've all been in lockdown for the past year. Now the weather is shining. Lockdown appears to be lifting. That, coupled with football success, will only lead to more spending and more confidence, increasing the need for high interest rates if your team indeed starts to push on throughout the tournament. Now, looking back to the World Cup of 2014, a study showed that 2/3 of the teams that lost a match, it was followed by the relevant stock market underperformance. England lost to Italy, you may recall. The stock market dropped 0.4% the following day. Now this week, England beat Croatia. Hey! That was followed by a strong FTSE opening on Monday morning. Back in 2014, France lost to Germany. The French stock market crashed 1.4% following on from that. Now this week, France got their revenge. They beat Germany 1-0. The French stock market opened much higher this week following on from that defeat of Germany. Look, this is not investment advice, but there does seem to be an uncanny correlation between a country's success in a football match and the follow-on stock market movement. But it's not just the World Cup and football, the Euros and so forth, but other sporting events as well. Can you imagine how many tinnies and barbecues are had every time the Aussies win the Ashes at cricket? Now also, another main impact of these sporting events is the plummeting volumes. In 2010, at the World Cup in South Africa, it was reported that the stock market volume dropped by 55%. And apparently an ECB study showed that an additional 5% drop always ensued a goal being scored in a relevant game. Pretty important numbers, I think you will agree. And I'll leave you now with just one last fact. There was a recent study done for Goldman Sachs, and it showed that for all the last World Cup winners, the countries that won their relevant stock market outperformed the global stock market by 3.5% for the following month. It levels out over time, of course, but interesting enough, I think you'll agree. Now, ultimately, I think the general state of the economy will prevail, but I think it's really important that you don't underestimate the huge benefits to the economy if your team progresses well throughout the tournament. And even if you're not watching the Euros and trading the Forex market on the back of it, then I still think it's a great excuse to have some fun, enjoy the time with your friends, and hopefully look to a better post-pandemic future. Wales are still beating Turkey 1-0 with 50 minutes gone. I guess we should sell the Turkish lira. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Hopefully, certainly gave you something to think about anyway. Maybe we are looking at better times ahead now. The sport's on the TV, the sun is shining, and hopefully we'll soon all be out of lockdown. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you don't already do so, and that bell notification, well, you know the drill on that one. Leave a comment. I'd like to see what you think about this. Let me know who you think is going to win the Euros this year. Who's going to win the 100 metres in the Olympics just around the corner. Now, don't forget you can follow us on all the socials as per usual. If you want to take part in our regular daily live streams, you can do so. We are streaming 5 times a day, 5 days a week. Just follow the link in the description tab. It will take you to exactly where you want to go. If that's not your thing, and that's not a problem, I'll see you next week. Enjoy the sun, enjoy the football, and have a good one.